broadcasting. Touchdowns. Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback stacking. 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction?
Welcome to the Sim Podcast show. I'm your co-host Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. Ron, we just had week 13. We're moving into week 14. You know what that means? Our teams are going to meet.
Patriot week.
Yeah, Patriot week, Steelers week, and we'll talk about it when we do our week 14 predictions. But first, we got NFL news, followed by a week 13 recap, and then we'll have our power rankings and our upset special. So, Ron, before we kick up this show, how are you feeling about your team, week 14?
Oh, man, not good after last week. Somehow we're still 7-5 and still got an easy schedule.
But easy by whose standards?
Exactly, that's true.
Last game was supposed to be easy.
Yeah, that's true. So we were favored by 6, I think, going into that game. We got blown out. Lost our quarterback, had a number of injuries. This week, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think, the players have to step up. They didn't show up this last game. I'll talk more, I guess, about last week, but I don't feel that confident in the team, whether they make the playoffs or not. Just at this point, I've given up on the season.
Oh, you're waving the white flag already?
I have raised it,
Oh, wow.
You know why? Because even if we crawl our way into the playoffs, this team has no chance whatsoever to make a run.
Yeah, it looks like the Miami, basically all the offensive teams are like putting out the medal and scoring points.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about our teams, of course. But first, let's kick it off with NFL news. And Ron, I put this in there because even though the Jets are not going to be in the playoffs, what is this QB carousel? First it was Zach Wilson. They signed Tim Boyle. Then they let Tim Boyle go. Now they're back to Zach Wilson, and he doesn't want to even play.
Mm-hmm.
So are these real reports? Like, what's happening?
I believe so.
Fill me in, because I didn't know this was happening.
Yeah, lots of drama apparently, right? So Wilson, he's been under pressure the entire year. Ever since Rodgers went down, he hasn't really played that well. But to his credit, he's kind of like had to deal with the New York media, and he's went out and did his best. They don't have a lot of weapons around him. So I don't know what they were expecting. Now, he's underperformed. There's no question about that. But, when your coaches pull you from the starter position and go somewhere else, I think part of it is he's lost confidence and he probably doesn't think he can succeed. And then part of it is like, well, he's probably angry. Well, you pulled me as a starter. Why would I want to go back in? Situation is a lot like the Patriots, right? They have no idea what they're doing at the quarterback situation.
Oh, we know what we're doing. We're never going back to Mac Jones.
Well, you did 3 times after he got pulled in games, right?
And now pulled. He's on. Unless something happened to
finally,
Sappy,
yeah,
he's finally, he's
but
out of our lives.
It took a while, right, in the season to come to that realization. And same thing with Mac. He lost confidence too. I think the Jets are going through it as well. It's not going to save them, I don't think. Going to Zach Wilson, it's not going to save their season. I just think if I was Zach, hold your head up high, go out there, say whatever you need to from a professional. Just be a professional, and when the season's over, see you later. Ask for a release. He's only his second. Yeah, he's only his second year, so he's going to be under contract. Just ask for a release. Go to your agent. Say, hey, they got Rodgers. That's obviously the plan. Let me have a chance and opportunity to grow somewhere else. That's what I would do if I was Wilson. He needs a fresh start somewhere else.
Him and Mac Jones.
Exactly.
But the thing is that I feel like with Zach Wilson, he just doesn't like Robert Saleh. I think that he feels betrayed by Robert Saleh. And with Mac Jones, nobody likes Bill, right? But the fact that Bill Belichick lost all confidence in you, now it's like, I can see Zach Wilson coming back. I can't see Mac Jones coming back.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Well, here's the thing. If I would tell Zach Wilson, it is about a maturity, and Zach Wilson, we know, was not a mature person coming out of college, right? He needs to understand it's not just his job that's on the line, right? The team was expected to make the playoffs, and they have not done that, right? So when he's out there laying an egg, it's his coach's job that's on the line. It's the coordinator's job that's on the line. It's everybody around him. So he needs to understand that. So he can't put the blame on Saleh. I get it. Saleh said he had faith in me and he put me there and trusted me, but he pulled me. But he pulled you for a reason, right? The reason's not just this year either. It still goes back to your performance last year and the things that happened, while you were with the team last year. So I think that part of it, from a maturity standpoint, he has to understand. But for him, hopefully in the off season, he can get some maturity, go to a new team, get a fresh start, like I said, and just come in, work hard, and that's it. That's all you can do. Work hard, stay focused and grind. That's it.
I can see Zach Wilson being successful either with another team, getting another chance. Same thing with Mac. I don't know if he's going to be a starting QB, but he can still play in this league. Same with Zach Wilson. I don't think this is the last that we've heard about Zach Wilson. The other set of news is, even talking about the quarterbacks, Jake Browning, is this the new kid on the block? Basically, like, now this is the media infatuation with
the darling.
Yeah, like the darling of the week. Because Cincinnati, like you mentioned earlier, it's in the thick of things, right? But are they going to make the playoffs?
Listen, he's not a bad quarterback, and they're just going to ask him to do the things needed to win the game. Just don't lose the game. As long as he does that, he'll be fine. Now the media, don't fall for the hype, right? You can't buy into that stuff, because it'll be quick before they turn on you, just like they've turned on other quarterbacks who started off hot and now have cooled off. Josh Dobbs, for example, comes to mind, right? CJ Stroud will come to mind. He just had a 3-interception game. So you're going to have some up and down throughout your career. You just can't buy into like all the hype. He still is a rookie. Got a long way to go. He is a rookie, right? I believe he is. If not, it's just second.
Browning,
yeah.
No, he's a vet. He's a vet, yeah.
Well, either way, he needs to just keep his head down, keep working, and just try to get the team in the playoffs.
Ron, Mike McCarthy is going to have surgery, and then he's planning to be there Sunday for the game. I feel like, yes, technology is awesome, and recovery time is probably cut in half. But if we think about it, like, this is, even if it just goes perfect without a hitch, you still need time to recover, right? Like, I don't understand why he would make such a bold prediction
that he'll be back. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how.
It's just it's just a crapshoot to me. Like, yes, fine. If you were a player, that's different. But you're our coach, and one that I don't want to pass judgment, but not exactly that the pinnacle of of a physique. So what's going on here? Why is he making proclamations like he's coming back from surgery so fast?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah, this is, what I'm saying is, like, why, if you're going to have this because you're probably in pain or your appendix bursts, whatever the case may be, that you need surgery in the middle of the season, just say, hey, I'm going to miss Sunday because I have surgery. You don't have to say, I'm going to make it, because now if he doesn't make it, it's going to be either a bigger deal now. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys, they like the news, whether it's bad news or good news. So, I just thought, hey, why don't we just talk about Dak and the fact that he could basically win the MVP? Instead, we're talking about McCarthy having surgery.
Yeah, well, everyone got the stuff they got to go through. I'm sure you'll try to be there on the side, but I'm sure they have a backup plan.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a backup plan. All right, I know we did Insta report on Sunday, but let's quickly go into Week 13 recap. It was LA Chargers at New England. I had them winning, New England winning 14-10. You had them Chargers winning 27-14. Final score was 6-0. Ron, I know that we talked about this on Sunday, but what were you expecting? Because you picked a really high score. So what were you expecting that day?
Well, I picked 20. I had 27 for the Chargers. I think the weather played a big factor in most of the northeastern games. It was really bad weather throughout, so that was probably part of it. Patriots defense are good. I probably had underestimated them a little bit. For the Patriot offense, to get shut out like that, that's troubling. I know they have a lot of injuries, a number of players out, but to get shut out, that's concerning to lose a game 6-0 like that.
Well, to me, it's not troubling anymore. It's tanking. Let's call it spade or spade. It's just tanking. Basically, like I mentioned earlier, you could have put points on the board. You decided not to. You went for it. Surprise, surprise. Sappy got sacked. Chargers took the ball back. It was like, it was tanking 101. It's like, if you're the coach and you definitely don't want the team to score here, you go for it knowing that your line is shit. Knowing that if they come with the blitz,
so you think Bill's purposely trying to lose?
Oh, they're definitely trying to either get a 1 pick or a 2 pick. There's just no other explanation because, as you mentioned, the defense is decent. The opponents that they beat, that they got beaten. You talk about the Chargers, the Giants, the Colts, the Commanders. They all had a low-scoring game, but you can't run on them, yo. You can still pass on them. They're just not gonna give the points. I think they're like middle of the pack giving points. So this is just tanking. I'm gonna call it tanking.
Okay.
I know that journalists. So it's weird because when you look at the news, everyone is so psyched about how high they're gonna draft, but then when they lose a game, they're like, oh,
yeah,
the coaching, the team, it's just bad.
Because no one really wants to lose.
Nobody wants to lose. But
I say all the time, I want to. I'm ready to just lose.
Yeah, it's a weird reaction because one side of the coin, they're like, oh, we can't wait for the draft day, and then on the other side, when the team loses, they're like up in arms. They're like, oh, I can't believe this just happened. Just pick a lane. The other game, Arizona at Pittsburgh. I had Pittsburgh winning 21-10. You had Pittsburgh winning 24-13. Final score was 24-10 Arizona. Ron, I know we talked about this on Sunday, but overall, why did Arizona come in and just beat the crap out of the Steelers? I know you had some injuries, but it can't be just all on Kenny Pickett.
No, so we lost it wasn't just Kenny Pickett got hurt, right? So Minka broke his hand. He played through it. We lost our linebacker. We lost a lineman. What else did we lose? We lost a couple other players too in the game. That's not an excuse. They didn't show up. I think they expected to go in there and just roll, over the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are, now with Murray at least, they're a team you got to reckon with. We didn't adjust at all. We allowed one player to beat us, their tight end McBride repeatedly, and we didn't make any adjustment. I was calling for it, like by the second quarter. But when I saw Minka not be placed on McBride, I was like, Minka must be hurt. He just came back from the hamstring injury. His hamstring is either bothering him and he's not 100%, or the coaches are just like trying to protect him and not adjusting. So, it turned out he had a broken hand. But either way, once Kenny went down, I thought he played okay. He probably had an opportunity to score a touchdown right before he tried to run into the end zone and got tackled short of the goal line. But I thought he played. He made some good throws. He missed like one or two reads, but he was okay. I think the situation would have been different if he played. Having said that, defensively, I think we collapsed in the second half. And I think coming out of halftime too, when we turned the ball over, we stopped them right off the gate. And then we turned the ball over. Bad snap. It was like the third or fourth bad snap from our center. Trubisky can't handle it, hits the dirt. They recovered, and went in to score. That was it. That was all she wrote after that. So stupid miscues. It was terrible. They just were not coached and prepared well at all. There was like a couple penalties where they didn't have enough players on the field, like at least two or three of those. They had illegal motions like two or three times, some dumb penalties. It was a team that looked like they were going through the motions like of a preseason game where you kind of like iron out all those like mistakes. That's what it looked like. So it was horrible. Probably the worst loss in Tomlin's career.
And you guys, Pittsburgh was favored by 5.5 going into that game, and it goes to show you that it's not guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed.
No. You got to show up and win.
You got to show up and play. Ron, who was your upset special for Week 13?
Yeah, so I went with the Kansas City Green Bay game. Kansas City played in Green Bay. They were favored by 6.5. Green Bay's been playing well, so I had them winning 26-23. They ended up winning 27-19. I'm not at all surprised. Listen, Kansas City's a good team. They're not a great team anymore. Mahomes just doesn't have sufficient weapons around him. Good running back, great tight end. He just doesn't have a lot of weapons outside of that. So I'm not surprised. Green Bay is a dangerous team. A team that you don't want to have to play like, if they find their way into the playoffs. And I don't know what their record is right now. But
right now they're in 7th place. So right now they're in the playoffs. They're in the wild card at 6-6. I thought that they should have had a better record at the beginning of the year. I picked them to win that division because I really had a lot of faith in Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems like he's figured it out after 12 weeks. He figured it out, and I think they might make it. I think they might make it because do you feel great about any other division like the NFC South or even the NFC West other than San Francisco? I feel like
so South. Oh, definitely only one team's coming out of the South. I think we can all agree on that. It's going to be one team, but the West. Listen, San Francisco's in there. I'm not going to totally rule out either the Rams or Seattle at this point. The Rams are actually playing a lot better than I thought they would. I think Stafford's finally healthy. That's probably a big part of it. And then the North, Minnesota, they're going back to Josh Dobbs this week. Can he keep them rolling? And I don't know who they play this week, but can he keep it going and get back to like not turning the ball over? I can see Minnesota not making it, but Green Bay overtaking them. And, I haven't looked at their schedule or anything, but I think Green Bay probably has a better chance.
Yes, Green Bay has a lot easier schedule coming up. So when I look at their schedule, they have the Giants. That should be a win. They have the Bucks. If they play, that could be a really good game. Then they have the Panthers. Then they have the Vikings, which we just talked about. We're not sure about Dobbs. And then they finish up with the Bears. So it's there for them to take it. It's there for them to take not the division, but at least take a wild card.
Right.
So it's there. My upset special for week 13, I went with Denver. It was Denver at Houston. I had a 24-21. It was 17-22, and that was not really a close game until the second half. And for some reason, and like you mentioned, CJ Stroud did not have a good game, but they still won. I should have known better than to actually put Houston at home to lose. But
Russell Wilson almost pulled it off at the end. He had plenty of time on the clock and just, I think it was third down. He scrambled a little bit and ill-advised throw that got picked off. Could have had like another play after that to score and win the game. They were right in it, but they just fell short at the end.
Yeah, they fell short, and Houston gets another victory. So, now that Jacksonville is going to have Trevor Lawrence not there for at least a couple of weeks, I don't know, maybe he'll come back sooner. Is it the Colts division to win, or is it the Texans division to win? Or is Jacksonville not counted out yet?
I'm not counting Jacksonville out yet. I'm trying to pull up their schedule too to see what they got left, but I'm definitely not going to count them out. So it looks like they got the Browns. It's going to be a tough game. It's in Cleveland. Tough defense. They got the Ravens and Buccaneers in Tampa. So look, they had a tough stretch. But they still got a strong running game that they can lean on. I still think they're the better team. It's just a bad time to not have your quarterback. So it's going to be a challenge for sure, but I'm not going to count them completely out. And between those two teams, Colts and Texans, I probably would say Texans.
You think the Texans, Minshew is not going to do it for you? You have no trust in Minshew?
No. And both teams looks like 4-1 in the last 5 games. So they're both on a pretty decent streak. Texans, though, are only 1-2 in the division so far. So that's the advantage right there with the Colts, I guess.
Ron, what teams are in your power ranking?
So power rankings for this week. I don't think much has changed as far as the teams from this week to last week. I'm trying to go through it now. I got San Francisco number 1. Last week I had them at 3. Baltimore at number 2. That's the same spot they were in last week. Philly, I dropped them to number 3 after the loss. They were number 1 previously. Miami moves up to number 4. I had them at 5. And Detroit, I have at number 5. Last week I had them at 4, even though they still won.
Yeah, Philly losing that game dropped them. I have San Francisco number 1, Miami, Baltimore, and Baltimore basically had a bye week. They didn't even play. They didn't really move. They moved up just a bit. The one that I actually put in there is Dallas, even though I don't want to step on my upset special, but I have Dallas in my top 5. I think, this might be the first time that they snuck in the top 5. I just feel like they can score whenever they have Dak. When Dak has it going, he has it going. I feel like he could be the MVP, but there's sometimes he doesn't have it going. And if he doesn't have it going, I feel like the rest of the team, it's almost like the defense is not as good. CeeDee Lamb doesn't catch well. It's weird. It's like it is definitely mirroring whatever the leader of the squad does. And I feel like that happens a lot with Dallas. But I've finally given them the respect I'm sure that some other people are actually giving them. The hype. Basically the hype that they always, every season, they're like, yes, this team is going to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Now I can actually see it maybe them going to like the championship. I don't know. It depends on how things are sorted out at the end. But they could vie for that, NFC East number 1 spot. I think that it could happen.
The NFC the top
East,
spot?
not the top spot, but at least take over Philly in the NFC East.
They could, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, definitely not going to happen. This is the week that...
If it could happen, right, this is the week.
This is the week, but I don't think they... And that's, Duran, that is my top 5 for the week 14. Now, Ron, we only have one game on the docket for week 14. New England at Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir.
Pittsburgh's favored by 6 points. The over-under for this game is 30 points.
And I think I read somewhere this is the lowest over-under in like 10 years or some crap for any guy.
It is astonishingly low. Ron, what is your prediction?
Listen, I got the Patriots winning 3-0. And I'm not even joking about the score anymore. Both of these teams offensively are a disaster. Mitch Trubisky is going to have I think both teams are going to have 2 turnovers, at least each team. I think Trubisky is going to have 2 picks. I think Zappi's probably going to have a couple interceptions or a strip fumble or some crap like that. I see the Patriots winning. You say they're tanking. I think the Steelers are going to try, but their offense is just like a hot mess. Too many injuries, especially at like key positions. The linebacker position is like critical. We don't have that leader out there in the linebacker spot this week. Najee's banged up, didn't practice today. We'll see if he plays tomorrow. I got the Patriots winning 3-0.
I got the Patriots winning 10-6. And I already have it in my mind how it's going to play out. So basically, the offense is not going to score. This is going to be 10 points directly from the defense. They haven't scored. The defense haven't scored this year yet. But this is the time where I see Mitch Trubisky playing super aggressive, like he says. And there's an interception, a pick 6 coming back. And then I see the kicker finally getting out of the doghouse and putting up some three points. And then I see Pittsburgh, the kicker, putting up 6 points. So this is no offense, basically. No offense whatsoever. All the points are coming from either the defense or special teams. I can picture Al Michaels just bored out of his mind. And just like Herb, just like randomly conversations that have nothing to do with football. Nothing to do with football. Because it's like, when we talk about New England, Pittsburgh, it's usually like playoff time, the cold weather, whatever. But now it's just pitiful. It's pitiful.
Sad situation.
And, they had this conversation, that podcast that you sent me, where they were like talking about defensive coaches against offensive coaches. And they were like, things change. Back then, you could have a defensive coach and, have the score be low and, all that stuff. But the rules change.
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy football has changed. Where now it's like, no. We need to score at all costs. So now is it just bygone, it's a bygone era of like, let's hire a defensive-minded coach and keep them for 10, 15 years. I don't think that we're there anymore.
No, not at all. And the only way, heck, even like if I think about like Baltimore, for example, they're Harbaugh's a defensive guy, I think. But he's hired coordinators specifically for Lamar Jackson, right? And try to tailor the offense around Lamar Jackson's talent. Pittsburgh has not figured that out. They don't know they're trying to put like a square in a circle, right? A square box in a circle, and they're trying to just like force whatever they, Canada wanted to do on two quarterbacks that, that they don't play in that system. Najee doesn't play in that system, right? Najee's a downhill, running back, put a fullback in front of him and let him take over the game. Instead, we're trying to like spread the ball out, have all this motion and stuff. I think, to your point, you can't have a defensive-minded person be the head coach unless they're completely turning the offensive system to somebody else and say, hey, you got this, you own it. I trust you. And go from there. Outside of that, it's going to be tough.
Well, just look at my power rankings. San Francisco, offensive-minded coach. Miami, offensive-minded coach. Dallas, offensive-minded coach. Philly, offensive-minded coach.
Mm-hmm.
The only person I have in there is Baltimore. And, like you mentioned earlier, he lets somebody else be the offensive coordinator.
Off, right.
He's hands off. Mm-hmm. And I think that for a long time, that worked in New England because, one, you had Tom Brady, and two, you either had Josh McDaniels or you had Charlie Weiss, or you had somebody where Belichick was like, I don't want to put my 2 cents in. I don't want to, I don't want anything to do. My baby is a defense. That's what I'm going to concentrate on.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just falling apart. And, I saw this and it kind of made my blood boil because a lot of the times when you read something, you're like, this is totally not real.
Mm-hmm.
So I read somewhere that Bill O'Brien, when he presents the plays to Bill Belichick says no to the play. Said, no, we're not going to run that. I was like, in what world is that happening?
Yeah.
Because if I was Bill O'Brien and Belichick told me, no, we can't run, I'd just walk out and be like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
What am I doing if you're going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
So this is just nonsense, that report. And I saw a bunch of people report. I was like, that just not happening. What's happening is there's no talent on the team. And Bill O'Brien is like, you want me to make a 5-course meal with McDonald's? It's like, it's not happening. So this is, and when we talk about New England at Pittsburgh, there's no offense from either team. Yeah. Definitely not from New England. And let's see what Mitch Trubisky. So, Ron, let me ask you, will New England have somebody shadowing Mitch Trubisky?
No, I doubt it. I don't think you'll need to. It's not going to be in our game plan to just do quarterback sneaks or anything like that. If a play breaks down, maybe he might run it once or twice in the game. But they're going to look to run the ball and then have, take some shots downfield and also some safe, short throws as well. Nothing spectacular from the offense. I think if you just stay glued to the receivers a little bit, be patient. Mitch is going to make a mistake. He always does. That's all they need to do, I think, from a defensive standpoint. So, and the Steelers, I think there's not a lot of talent, to your point, on the Patriots offense. Your tackles are very weak. I can see this being like an 8 to 10 sack game.
No Stevenson.
Yeah, no Stevenson.
So, Elliott can maybe do it for half. I don't think he can do it for the whole game.
I would be careful. I think Zappy's going to get sacked at least eight times. I can see it happening between TJ Highsmith and then we bring like some other guys. That can be New England's downfall if he's just taking hits after hits. But this game can go any way. It's going to be a low scoring game, a boring game. But it's a critical game for the Steelers because it's make or break. They lose twice in a row to a 2-win team. The noise is just going to get louder for Tomlin to step down and for the Rooneys to move on.
I will make a prediction about this game. I know the Jets Giants game had like something like 23 punts. I'm gonna say 24 punts in this game.
That's a lot.
They're not, and I'm gonna say that New England makes it past the 50-yard line maybe once, because I dare have them kicking a field goal. So maybe once they make it past it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be a lot of punts, a lot of sacks definitely from when New England's on offense. It's just gonna be a pitiful game. I mean, we're gonna watch it because we're fans, but if I had another choice, I wouldn't watch this game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch this game. This is gonna be epitome of bad football.
Yeah.
Bad football. Ron, who is your upset special for week 14?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I almost went with your choice too, but I went back to the Green Bay game, and we just talked about Green Bay, how well they played beating Kansas City, but they're favored by 6.5. But they're going into New York. The weather isn't going to be a factor, but they're playing on the road at the Giants. I got the Giants sneaking out a win. I believe in DeVito. That's his last name.
Tommy DeVito. Tommy
24
boy.
to 23.
You know, we just got done praising Jordan Love, and I feel like, yes, he can win at home, but I want to see it do it on the road. And the Giants, I know that they're not lighting up the scoreboard, but I feel like the defense might do something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I saw a statistic. Let me try to pull it right now with Green Bay. Green Bay's road record is like atrocious, I think it was. Yeah, they're 2-4 on the road. So, yeah, we'll see. What can they do?
Yeah, what can they do? My upset special, I went with Philly at Dallas. It was 3.5, so I met the threshold. I got them Philly winning 28-24. And we just talked about how Dak can be in the conversation for MVP. If he has a bad game, I don't want to hear Dak having in this conversation about MVP.
Listen, the MVP debate, it's wide open. He can have a bad game and bounce back the next week. He'll be right in the mix again. It's wide open, and because it's wide open, that's why I think a non-receiver or a non-quarterback is going to win it. If Hill gets 2,000, I've been saying it all season, if he gets to 2,000, he's going to win it because none of the quarterbacks are running away statistically, with the MVP race, so it's debatable who the top quarterback is. So to me, like, it's a perfect year for Hill to win it.
I just want to see who Miami has down the line as far as finishing the season. So they have the Titans next. Pretty decent defense. The Jets, the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Bills. So they actually have pretty good defenses to finish up the year. But the way that the offense is built, I can see them, they have two very Pro Bowl wide receivers in Waddle and Hill. So I do see him getting that 2,000 yards mark. Right now, he is sitting on 1481. So he needs about 520, just about.
Yeah, in 5 games?
In 5 games. So he would have to average, 100, 102?
Yeah, something like that.
And, with one pass, he can make 102 yards.
Yeah, I mean, what he just had last week? 157. So.
And that was against, who did he have? 157 against Commanders. And their defense is, it's not terrible, but.
Well, he had 102 against the Jets the week before that. Who else you said he has to play?
The Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Bills.
Okay, so against the Bills the first time he only had 58. But, he He's just a guy that can at any point get,
Yeah, but he can easily have 200 in
exactly.
one game. So
Yeah,
it's not, he doesn't have to average out 102. He can just have a really, really big game.
Yeah.
I think the really big game could come against the Titans, because if you look at the defenses, out of all the defense, Titans probably the weaker one.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be possible.
And believe me, the coach and the players want him to get to that. They're going to design every play, every game to get Tyreek the ball and to get him over that 2,000-yard mark.
The thing about this Miami team that I kind of don't understand is, like, how do they sign all these weapons to contracts when Tyreek Hill couldn't even stay with the Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, and now look at Kansas City. They're struggling to get weapons for Mahomes. I mean, I knew that the dollars made it that they couldn't keep both of them, but now that Tariq is gone, he basically doesn't have that threat anymore.
Yeah, it makes a difference, right? So you put all your money into quarterback position. You're not going to have a lot for a bunch of different players, and I don't know what the Dolphins is really spending on the defensive side. I guess they brought in
Ramsey.
I don't know how much they're paying him or anything, but I'm sure there's some folks that are taking some sort of home discount, if you will, for a chance to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, I know that their bench is really thin,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe they just spent it all on starters and they didn't spend it on the bench. But hey, they're doing it. It's whatever it is that they're doing. It's working.
Is Tua signed? Or is he still in his
I think he signed an extension, I believe, but don't quote me on that. I think he's beyond the rookie contract, because he got drafted in 2018, right? 2018 or 2017. I'm not 100% sure when the draft happened for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking it up right now. When did Tua? So Tua came in the league. Actually, he was drafted in 2020.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I think he might be still under the rookie contract. So basically, they're doing this. Tua's under the rookie contract. They're paying Waddle. They're paying Hill. They're paying Ramsey. So yeah, it makes sense why they have all these stars. They just basically converted Tua to like this monster of a quarterback.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, how long does that last? Eventually he's going to want to get paid.
Yes.
We talked about it.
Yes.
The pay scale, right? And he's going to be like, well, look at all these numbers I put up. I deserve 50,000 or 50 million, excuse me. Are you going to pay him 50 million? And if so, like, who are you taking it from at that point?
Yes. Who are you taking it? And this is the thing is, like, I don't know. Isn't the cap going up for next year?
Yeah, I think so. But still, I mean, you can't outpace the cap quarterback.
Yeah.
Quarterback salary is ridiculous.
All right, Ron. So let's end this episode. We both think that New England's gonna win, but let's be 100% honest. This is probably not gonna happen. There's gonna be some weird sabotage play that doesn't look like a sabotage, but is 100% is. And I'm gonna give you what I think is gonna happen. I didn't put it on paper because I wanted to keep the streak going of me picking New England. But New England will lose this game.
Okay.
They'll just find a way to lose it. However, when is Kenny coming back? Or is he coming back at all?
4 weeks, probably. Anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks.
So he might be back for the playoffs.
Yeah, he should be.
But
They didn't put him on IR, so.
But you think that Pittsburgh is going to get blown out in the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. First round exit.
So then why, what's the incentive here for, if we talk about incentives for New England, it's losing a game and having either the 1 or the 2 pick.
Mm-hmm.
what's the incentive for Pittsburgh? That's what I want
to be mediocre and make the playoffs and be bounced. You tell me, because it's been, 6 years? This will be the 7th year. So this is what the whole city of Pittsburgh's been complaining about, that the national media doesn't understand. They love Mike Tomlin. They think he's a fantastic coach, and he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. He's always had a winning record. That's great. But, when you're talking about teams like Pittsburgh and Dallas, America's team, and, there's a higher standard that you need to be held to, and he has not met that standard in my eyes. And in most of Pittsburgh Steelers fans' eyes, he's fallen short, right? You can't go 6 years without winning a playoff game. That's unacceptable. And you can't have a game where you're losing to the Cardinals, to and whatever team, and you get completely embarrassed like that. That means the players, aren't bought in. They didn't show up. And you as a head coach, that's where the finger gets pointed to. So there is no incentive to finish middle of the pack again and have another mid-round draft pick and to repeat the process again for next year. There is none. That's why, I'm hoping, part of me is hoping, that we just lose this game, put a little bit of pressure and, put Tomlin in a hot seat situation where he either leaves at the end of the season or he realizes that he has to do something differently with the offense and get somebody in there that actually knows what the hell they're doing, and fix the offense for next year, because what we're doing isn't working.
Well, my question to you is, what if Pittsburgh makes the playoffs and they win that playoff game against whoever, and they win, but then get blown out the next game? It's Tomlin staying.
Yeah, he probably. I think we talked about that at the beginning of the year. At least I've talked about that, to other people. So I think winning one game gets you, buys you more time. Yes, it's how you win. There's context involved. So you're still going to look at the entire year to see, was there growth in the offense? That was the issue 2 years ago. Has there been growth since then? I know we got rid of Canada, right? You did that first step that you should have taken a long time ago, but you have to see growth. You have to see a team that's headed in the right direction. And if even if they win a playoff game, if you look at just the entire season, if you feel like there hasn't been sufficient growth, then maybe it's time to move on. Maybe you're delaying the inevitable, so, we'll see. But one playoff win probably does buy him extra time.
Yeah, at least a couple more years. All right, so tomorrow night, New England at Pittsburgh. This is gonna be an ugly game. If you're a fan, I wish you the best. If you're Al Michaels, maybe this is where you have a family emergency and you miss this game. I doubt it. He's always there. So we're not going to do instant reaction because we're actually going to be watching this game, and then Sunday I'm not going to be available. But when we do week 15 and we do the week 14 recap, we'll know whether Pittsburgh wins or whether New England blows the draft, because all we want is Carolina to win one more game.
Carolina's not drafting a quarterback, though, so you don't have to worry about that. What you do have to worry about is them trading the pick.
Well, this is the thing, is that whatever record that they end up, that's going to be Chicago's pick, right? Mm-hmm. So Carolina can win another game and go back in the draft. That pick is Chicago's pick.
Gotcha.
Even if they get the number one, why take a chance that Chicago might pick a QB and kick Justin Fields to the curb. Yeah. So why take that chance?
Speaking of which, by the way, I'm reading at least 3 or 4 different times, I'm seeing people advocating for Fields to go to the Steelers. next year. I don't know why anyone would want Justin Fields to be on the Steelers. Any Steeler fan would want that, but on all like the Bleacher Report, like chat and Twitter feeds that I get, I've seen it like, oh, we should go after Fields next year. I'm like, why the hell would we do that? That makes no sense whatsoever.
See, I've noticed that when I look at an account, I can tell if it's a fan account or if it's, someone that's a journalist. It's like a legitimate account.
Yeah.
If it's a fan account, I just shake my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, and this is the thing is like now because of technology, anybody can post anything. So it's like, why does this keep happening?
Yeah.
Because fans are nuts.
Yeah,
just
they're
like
lunatics.
Just like us, we're nuts. The fans are nuttier.
Yeah,
they just post anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that just whatever pops in their head, they gotta post it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. So join us next week when we do week 14 recap, week 15 predictions, and all that. So in that case, I say peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on shutyourmouthpodcast@gmail.com. That's shutympodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram @sympodcast. Thanks again.